scripted, and this isn't scripted. I wanna equip you and use against my enemies, yeah. You see, I wanted to save you, and then learn how to raise you. But
oh, hey there, what is up everyone? I am Rob.
I'm Eamon.
What is up? This is Mini Fuzz. How are you doing, Eamon?
Very well, very well. Back from the big bad UK.
You're just like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Eamon O'Neill.
Like Dora the Explorer.
He's
Carmen
the man in demand.
Never have young fellas running. There's Carmen Sandiego, there's Dora the Explorer. Was there some sort of like young lad running around, or is it always women exploring?
Mighty Max?
Mighty Max.
Carmen Sandiego was a dude, was he?
Mighty Max was interdimensional.
Carmen Sandiego was a dude, was he not?
No, Carmen Sandiego was a girl.
You
Carmen
sure?
Sandiego, she's alright looking as well.
This is revelatory for me. I thought Carmen Sandiego was a dude.
No, my brother-in-law I think did some storyboards for Carmen Sandiego.
Is this not a redesign of like sexy 21st century Carmen Sandiego now?
I think Carmen Sandiego was always
really
a girl. I'm pretty sure, yeah. The only Carmen Sandiego I've ever seen, she wears like a red trench coat and she has like a hat.
I thought that was a fella. I thought in the original. Search up Carmen Sandiego.
I don't think they gender swapped him.
I think they did.
There's just so much gender.
Carmen Sandiego's gone woke.
Carmen Sandiego, yeah. How can I support Carmen Sandiego now that he's
literally rude? I thought it was. I thought Carmen Sandiego.
Affirmative action doesn't work. Carmen Sandiego.
I thought he looked a bit like Inspector Gadget, like back in the day, you know? He's like a Hispanic Mr.
Carmen
Gadget.
Sandiego,
Senor Gadget.
Senor Sandiego. Hola.
It was a dude, was it? It was a girl.
Yeah, it's all because even that's old school IMDb. Carmen Sandiego.
All right, okay. So is there someone I'm thinking of then? Johnny Quest or something? I think
Johnny Quest, and he used to run around with Hadji and the boys. Yeah. Didn't that was his? But that was the fella's name. That was his friend. He used to run around with him. But that was his name, and they used to run around the place. It was DEI, and it was good DEI.
Johnny Quest was good.
Johnny Quest was good. Yeah, Johnny Quest. There was Johnny Bravo. He had long.
He didn't explore though.
Johnny Bravo. No, he was a white man for white males.
He was, he was. Looks like he listens to Queens of Stone Age, actually, Johnny Bravo.
He does.
But yeah, anyway, how's everyone doing? Hope you are doing well. I'd like to remind everyone to leave reviews if you haven't already. If you want to do a little bit more, head on over to our Patreon. That is the best way to help us to continue to develop these lovely episodes. You get something in return as well. You get access to our Discord, ad-free experience, and also the exclusive episodes. You get all of the stuff is posted there first. Basically, there is also access to this new documentary. I just posted. It's not access. It's just a link. But I posted it there to talk about it, and I'll talk about that a little bit before we get into the rest of the readout, Emo. So I'm in a little documentary thing called Bigfoot Does Not Exist. What type of loaded title is that, Eamon?
I assume you were fighting the opposite stand.
Yeah,
you're
probably.
Like, metaphysical Bigfoot is 100% real.
So basically what happened was, it was supposed to be myself and Eamon, but it was during the time when we moved and I was getting the studio set up, and anyway, a lot of life got in the way. Long story short, had to kind of do it last minute. Got through it. Came out quite well. I'm happy with it, and people seem to like it, so that's good. Big shouts out to Jeremy Norrie, who is the director, and it's done by J. Horton Films. You can find it on YouTube, and yeah, it's just called Bigfoot Does Not Exist. There's me and a couple of other dudes on it. I look like fucking Casper the Friendly Ghost on it because it was recorded in the depths of January, and I only have like PC lighting, so I'm like Mr. Burns translucent.
I think that is good though, because like I was saying to you before the podcast, that is the kind of look of someone who's steeped in this kind of culture, you know?
It's like, I've been looking at computers for weeks.
A man who occasionally goes into the forest.
Yeah, basically, actually. So yeah, so it's out there, check it out. It's it's actually really well done. It was so well done that I was like, fuck, I wish we had the studio done in time, because it would look right.
Is it an obvious kind of a cut where like it's
Bigfoot motherfuckers have like proper camera setups, proper lighting, microphones.
You have to start somewhere. This is the burgeoning start, or the start of your burgeoning film career.
I'll be on IMDb now, though.
You will be on IMDb, and you'll be the next probably Captain Marvel or whatever when they swap them back.
When they make them woke.
Unwoke is the next thing where like Black Widow just becomes like White Widow, and it's a dude.
If they found Bigfoot, Eamon, where did they send that into?
If you have found Bigfoot, finally, monsterfuzzpodcast@gmail.com. Send in all your stories to a minifuzz, and as always, we will read out anything. Unless you don't want us to read it out. Sometimes we get the old thing that says, don't read this out. It's just for us. But yeah, so we won't read that out. So if you have a 2-tier thing, one is just like, I hate both of you.
No, sometimes they don't read that out. It's like from a DM or something, which is what that is.
I getcha.
So yeah, basically, I would like to say as well, get well soon to our boy Willie Joe.
The comment man.
He's in hospital at the minute.
Oh Jesus.
He's fighting illness. So I hope you get better soon, brother.
Better, man.
Yeah, you'll be out in no time swinging that big Mickey, you know. But yeah, he wrote a comment saying he was in hospital, so I was like, get well soon, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, get well soon.
And as well, one of our patrons, this is another little bit of sort of housekeeping. Another one of our patrons has launched a book that actually ties in quite well with what some of our listeners are into. And this is not sponsored, it's not an ad or anything, but I said to them, I give them a shout out. So H.L. Wigton is the pen name. What a pen name that is. So we'll give the shout out. So basically, the series of books is called The Shipper Chronicles. It's actually typed out SHIP apostrophe or Chronicles. It's what they describe it in their own words as is what I call blue collar sci-fi. No huge military stuff or politics. Just your working guy or gal trying to make a living in the cold hard vacuum of space. They say there's flavours of horror, quantum physics, a touch of humour, mysteries out the wazoo, and space cryptids.
Nice.
So I have a website that has a free sample of the first book, a bit about the series and my strange self, and of course links to get the books. So far there's 3 rolling deep, running hot, and falling apart. Number 4 is slated to be out possibly at the beginning of next year. And number 5 is in the works apparently. So the website is hlwigton.com. That's HLWIGTON.com.
Good stuff.
And yeah,
rolling deep, running hot, falling apart. What would the 4th book be called?
Rolling deep, running hot, falling apart. It has to be something about coming back together, right? Maybe you could call it To Smithereens.
Smithereens. Yeah. The Shipper Resurrection. Pretty cool, yeah.
You should check that out now because you can read.
I can read, yeah.
So you should...
I can't speak and read at the same time because my tongue's too fat. It's like I'm like if you chew toffee and peanut butter at the same time and then try to read. I'm like your dog eating peanut butter when I try to read.
Yeah. So we're back onto we've got kind of 2 sort of bigger kind of articles today, I suppose. One is titled, My Mom's Cousin Saw Something Deep in the Ocean in the early 80s that made him lose his mind. How exciting is that?
Cool, yeah, I'm looking forward to that
then
one.
The other one, which is the one we're going to read now, is this woman nearly died and found humans are a temporary symbiosis between 2 beings. One mortal, one immortal. Death does not exist. It is only a transition.
Transition, man. Like I'm just after coming off a long day's work. I had the Monday off, so I was sandbagged. Everything on Monday, I had to deal with it today. We're recording early because I have to collect my wonderful wife in 2 hours. So we're putting in work today. My poor old brain isn't firing well, and I read that and I thought to myself, this might be enough to put me over. I'll be like the man who looked into the ocean deep and had a breakdown after this story.
So this article was by Vicky Verma, and it's from wise.com.
Does she chase ghosts with a dog?
She should do, yeah.
She should.
If you want to take it away there, Em, and I'll jump in at some point.
Now, hopefully my your dog's tongue won't possess me as I'm trying to do this. So
hopefully.
I'm very tired. This woman nearly died in the ICU. She claims she watched herself lying in bed and found that humans are a temporary symbiosis between 2 beings, one mortal, one immortal.
Shit.
Death does not exist, only transition. Her name is Julia Fischer from Vienna, and she had a near-death experience at the age of 6. She recalled the incident from 2003 when she was 6 years old. She describes waking up with a severe headache which led to her collapsing shortly afterwards. This event marked the beginning of a life-threatening cerebral hemorrhage, resulting in her being taken to the hospital and placed in intensive care for 2 weeks. Whilst in intensive care, Fisher had a near-death experience. She describes the sensation of slipping out of her body, feeling as though a layer was lifted off her.
So yeah, this is the stuff that we get in like the books that we've read about NDEs. Super common thing where basically people anyone that was kind of aware of this happening, they will describe it as something like, they either lift out of it or it slips off. And then that's usually when you get the whole, I can see you out of the room, or blah, blah, blah.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? Because it's been depicted so often as the ghost leaving the body, that idea of the spirit leaving. And you do wonder then, was that informed by people talking about this? Because when you think about it, they could have described it as a different thing. Like, you go under, you go sideways, something different altogether. Like,
these are questions, and he shall be joining us, God willing, very soon. These are questions for Brother Richard, because you would wonder, was there ever a religious sort of depiction of that happening? Like, was it ever a thing that was described as, the spirit somehow, how it comes off the body or whatever? Is it originally from a Christian imagery, basically?
There was someone many years ago, it wasn't McCosker, I can't remember the name of the guy who tried to do it, but the idea was that it's where the idea of 21 grams comes from. You ever heard of that?
The way
the weight of the soul, So he had done these experiments. Now, when they reflect on them now, it looks like, they're highly suspect and maybe weren't done correctly. But he found that the unit of measure that the body would weigh less was 21 grams, so the weight of the human soul. That's why they say that, the 21 grams. He found that animals it didn't happen with. But it is. So, like, that part of you that leaves the body has a material weight, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's what I say, It's cool. You're up next, I think. So
yes. She found herself floating about 2 meters above her bed, observing her own body lying with tubes connected to her head. So, again, very common kind of imagery of that. So initially, she did not fully understand what was happening, but soon realized that something was not right. This realization led her to the conclusion that she might be dead. Fisher explains how the experience differed from looking at herself in a mirror. As a small child, being 2 meters above herself was an unusual perspective. Very true. She observed herself and the surrounding medical equipment with a sense of detachment and lightness. A feeling she describes as being as light as a feather that weighs 21 grams.
Exactly.
Despite trying to look at her feet or hands, she could not see them, emphasizing the disembodied nature of her experience. She said, the most impressive part was the unbelievable silence, a silence that I don't think we can experience at all in this world. It was like pressing a pause button. No background noise. You see everything in slow motion. That's how I perceived it. It's a silence we cannot experience on Earth in the same way.
Yeah, this is the stuff that and this is why we did NDE episodes and stuff, is just because, like, there's so many people talking about it. There's, like, there's almost as many people talking about it as there would be for, like, seeing ghosts or anything like that, where it's like, something definitely happened there. And
it's, like, I suppose the thing about this as well is that, like, these stories are so similar that, it's not like there's a cabal of people with a conspiracy to create these stories, or that
there's nothing really you get out of it by saying it, really.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like,
unless you want to become like a messiah, or like you're wanting to set up a cult or something.
And even at that, there's no real messiahs that have, feigned an NDE story and then sort of made a commune where they write everyone's wife.
Yeah, you'd wonder to do, I suppose, and I'd say there are, like that guy's book I read, I can't remember his name. I think it might be mentioned here anyway, but he, there's Raymond Long, is he one of them? That's not the guy I read his book belonged to, but I think he might be one of those guys. Yeah. But, like, you'd wonder, like, was there a motivation there beyond just science? Like, was there a bit of a, like, if I figure this out, I am the guy that has the answer.
And since then, there's been a huge amount of books well, not a huge amount, but a fairly steady flow of books published on this. The one I read was Dr. Bruce Grayson, and he had an interesting way of looking at it, where he tried to present it in a very sort of an objective way. So he's a doctor, so he's a scientist, I suppose, but he didn't present it looking at it that way, but he was trying to go, all right, so it could be this, it could be that. I can't explain this. I don't know what that is. And he had a very interesting statement where he said, all science starts as anecdote, and all we have now are anecdotes of this trip to this other dimension, or this spiritual realm, or whatever. So I think we can't measure that now. So we're just the same with, I suppose, with ghosts and potentially metaphysical Bigfoot. We can't do anything we can't do science on that. So all we can do is just have these stories.
metaphysical Bigfoot just always makes me smile.
Metaphysical Bigfoot is the one true God.
Just as a straight face dead ass sentence, metaphysical Bigfoot. It's just always makes me laugh.
I believe in metaphysical Bigfoot.
It's just because, like, when you're talking to an average Joe, like, even if I used to tell anyone that
you never need to use the word metaphysical or Bigfoot.
If I'm talking to like someone that's not into this stuff at all, and I'm like, yeah, I'm on a Bigfoot documentary, I'd fully expect them to go weirdo.
Yeah.
But then if I tell them I'm into metaphysical Bigfoot, it's like a whole other layer on top of it. Yeah. It's like the cream on top of the trifle. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like I'm not into metaphysical Bigfoot, but I believe in metaphysical Bigfoot.
Eamon O'Neill, metaphysical Bigfoot
expert. I think I technically could be an expert. I don't think there's a lot of them out there, but it's not just metaphysical Bigfoot. It's metaphysical representations
of Bigfoot.
Well, of anything. It could be like UFOs. It could be. It's just metaphysical. It could be demons. You know, the jinn. The jinn make you see a few things as well. But DJINN. But yeah, it's a funny thing. So anyway, sure, we're off. But you're famous for metaphysical.
Metaphysical Bigfoot enthusiast.
And I'll tell you, sir, I saw a frog in the forest, and that frog was metaphysical Bigfoot. Fisher recalls moving towards a door frame filled with light, which had a unique frequency, like that, unlike any light on Earth. Again, very common. This white light that they say is unlike anything they've seen on Earth or even in video games. She felt drawn to this light, but was suddenly stopped by a voice asking if she wanted to go further. The voice did not belong to any visible person, adding to the mysterious nature of the experience. As she contemplated the question, thoughts of her parents pulled her back to her body with great force. I had the feeling it was a slightly bluish tint, a mix of white and blue light. I was drawn to it. It was something I had never seen in my life on Earth. I slowly moved towards this light, very slowly, at a walking pace. Then I heard a voice that asked me, "Girl, do you want to go?" I was asked this question, but I didn't see anybody or anything. Just a voice asking, "Do you want to go?" Probably a nicer voice than that. That was really the exciting part. I was standing in this dark room in front of a door frame filled with white light and this blue colour, this unique light frequency. I slowly moved towards this light and I was asked again, "Girl, would you like to go on?" At that moment, I reflected on the whole situation. If you can put it that way. I thought about it and had only one thought. My parents. They dominated my mind. I immediately thought of my parents, my mom and my dad. As I was having this thought, it was like a force pulled me back, like mom and dad were pulling me back to my body at an incredible speed. That was the kind of near-death experience that I had. She described the light as evoking feelings of love, security, and being in good hands. The decision to return to her body seemed influenced by her thoughts of her parents, and she felt no pressure from any external force to stay or go.
So, that's, again, super common, the feeling of love. The sort of...
It's funny, sometimes it's a relative that sort of asks you, do you want to go on, or tells you that it's not your time. In this case, it seems to have just been like a voice. But yeah, the feelings of love, again, very, very common.
It's interesting because it does kind of appear that, like, if this stuff was to be true, that perhaps there is some knowledge. Like, I think I've mentioned it before in the pod, but I feel like whatever's happening, like your soul or whatever, if you want to call it that, whatever's going back there probably existed before you were born also. Like, that's kind of a vibe I get.
I think that's why we're so, like, life force Final Fantasy VII, in that it's sort of a renewable energy that just keeps. And the Buddhists say that, like, you keep coming back until you reach enlightenment, and then you go to a different plane of existence altogether.
It could be that, yeah, or it could literally be like that you have one round on Earth, like just one crack of the whip, one goal.
If you think about it, right, think about all the people that have died throughout history. So there's like, I know there's like, what, 8 billion people now. How many people have died? Of the people that have died, how many of those souls are being recycled? How many? Like, I'd love to see some big data.
If there's no recycling, then, like, it doesn't matter anyway, because it's all Like, if we are some kind of like non-physical entity, it doesn't really matter, does it?
You might be able to have multiple souls in your body at once. Like, you know, the idea of like integrating your shadow or defragmenting your psyche and all this sort of stuff. So you have like an overriding personality, and then there's sub personalities under that. So maybe you have all these different levels, or maybe the personality, because if you hit your head hard enough, your personality will change in the right spot.
That's true.
So maybe the soul is something that's external to this, and we're seeing it as a 1-to-1. So like the soul could be one thing.
And the physical body could imprint on it, maybe.
Yeah, so we could all have one soul that we share, but like we're seeing it from different perspectives, and then you go back into the universal flow or whatever. A
lot of the strife and hardship and ways that you sort of do all that could be just a symptom of having a physical body. Because like, you know, the way like they often describe it as like feelings of empathy, feelings of love, feelings of like losing everything, shedding all your weight. Like, all of that stuff is probably the physical symptoms of having a body, right? So like, this is like fucking nuts talk. Once your soul detaches from your body, then all of those things are gone. Do you know what I mean? So like, they don't concern you.
Because we talked about before, remember, and it was in relation to NDEs and kind of out of body experiences where people are there, but they suddenly see themselves from like the corner of the room or whatever, which shouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so I have a feeling that we have a certain filter system in our brains that is there to keep us in this experience. Yeah. Like I said, if your filter was missing and you were like over in the corner of the room watching yourself, things like eating, sleeping, exercising, like you couldn't. So I think we're filtered in this way to make us survive, and maybe we're just here to actually keep everything evolving.
We also fucking love playing The Sims, like, so I wonder is the thing where, like, you know, it's just whatever we are just loves the simulation of things. See, then there's a new Sims game coming out, kind of. It's like I think it's made by
an existential crisis kind of.
It's not an EA Sims, like, it's like a new thing.
Oh, okay,
that's fucking the tits,
like a throwback kind of a thing.
No, it's like totally modernized, like new shit. Okay. Looks cool.
Because everyone, like my sister who doesn't really play video games,
Sims will bring in.
Love The Sims.
Sims will just bring in, like, you'll just get into it.
And you're just sitting there, like, just watching people.
But it's like you're sort of influencing it, right? So you're making your own. I suppose the appeal of it, which Sims does have, I'd say, is one of the very few games that probably has a more predominantly female audience, I'd say. And I'd say what brings them or gets them to it is, and I'm literally, these are all just new thoughts in my head that are forming as we go, which is basically a good way to summarize this podcast. But like, I wonder, like, a lot of girls grow up with like a lot of creative hobbies, like where it's like they're playing house and shit and they're doing their little doll houses and all that, and it's like almost they're role playing other people, whereas The Sims is literally a video game version of that, like. So I'm wondering, is that why it's a little bit more skewed female? Because like lads were, you know, we do play a lot of video games, but we also play a lot of video games that are influenced by what we did as kids. So a lot of wrestling games, fighting games, all things that we would have been exposed to as a kid. Do you know, like we would have been watching that kind of shit. There's a whole thing about that where it's like
the underlying
gender. What do they call it? There's like, Kira's quite passionate about it because in school and stuff like this. But like basically how the genders are automatically assigned things as soon as they're born. And like, so you're already subconsciously influenced by like a bunch of shit that is not necessarily a gender thing.
Yeah, no,
I
think it was like, I remember learning about it. It's kind of blew my mind when my first year of college, and they were, I think Simone de Beauvoir, she was some feminist, maybe she had parts about this, I can't remember. But the idea was, like you roughhouse the boy baby, but you coddle the girl baby. You give the boy baby blue, you give the girl baby pink. And so they were saying that those gender roles are really created by society, which is a lot about what the whole gender spectrum and everything is now. But then there's other people that say, well, when you actually give people the total freedom, like in Sweden, where you have the toy magazine where the boy has the pram and the girl has the Spider-Man toy, actually those genders seem to be attached to something in our DNA.
Oh yeah, I'd imagine
further behind it.
I think it's
but if you say that in a certain company, they'll kick, like, you know.
I think it's by and large. Like that is the case by and large, but then I do think there's outliers.
I think so, yeah.
I think everyone would benefit from freedom of expression, 100%. Especially as children. But then at the same time, there are lines that I suppose you have to kind of figure out too, like, do you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think to your point, like I think
you also have to figure out how to like survive in like in society as well. I have a friend that I'll try and keep it as vague as I can without really, but it's a good example to it where basically their young kid has a hobby that if the hobby was like they're getting older now and they're going into big school, like if the other kids got wind of the hobby that they're into, they would be bullied because of it. And so it's like, so there is a bit of like you kind of do have to, and it's shit that it is that way.
And I think as a society, we're really trying to do our best in terms of like, because I feel like there's way less bullying now. I could be wrong about that, but it seems like there would be less bullying now.
I don't know if you had it like, but you know, we used to when we were younger, like we probably wouldn't have advertised that we read comics or nothing. I don't think. I didn't give a shit. Like I read them in school, but I know a couple of lads now that were. See, I have height privilege. I didn't realize this, but like,
same. Yeah.
Like I was a big lad in school and I was mouthy, so generally no one bothered me. So like when I say like, should I read comics in school? No one bothered me. It's like not really an accurate.
But if you were a 5'2" kid with heavy spectacles and stuff, no, that's it. Like I read comics. I probably didn't read comics when I was like first year, and I started reading them again when I was like 16 or 17. Because I read until I was 12, then started reading video game magazines a lot, and I was collecting those. And then when I was 16 again, started reading Spider-Man again. So for me, I never really thought about it, but no one really fucked at me too bad in school. Like
Peter's was a bit more gentle that way. I think there's a lot of harder secondary schools, and they got
well, like when I'd go to some of the other schools with the lads, and I'd hear the level of abuse thrown at each other. I was like, oh mother of God, like this is next level shit.
I think your class though, when I look at your class, even like your class had a fair few sound people. Like ours was fairly feral. It just depends. Like Carol will tell you the same. Certain classes can be feral.
Well, we were from first to third year. I was in a feral class, and then I went into transition year where I was gentrified with the rest of the classes. So then I think I had but I was never really like a super feral kid. But like I wasn't wild, but I was creative, I suppose. So I like to be free or whatever. But anyway, I think we're getting way metaphysical Bigfoot.
No, it doesn't really matter because I tell you why. We are actually way ahead, so we're going on to the ocean thing now because I ended up putting in, I think this document double copied or something. So
sorry, I see.
We're all G, but basically, to go back to the NDEs and stuff like that, with the soul, even the body and stuff, very interesting. Every religion talks about it. Everyone has a different take.
And the fact that
ties in with ghosts,
and the fact that there's anecdotal like evidence, I suppose is one way, but there's anecdotal stories that people bring back about like I experienced this. Like you think of some of the wilder stuff in the Bible, let's say, like Jesus walking on water. When's the last time someone was like, "Oh yeah, I walked on the water"? That doesn't happen. Yeah, you don't have people saying they were. Well, you probably have some people saying they're reincarnated, but no one's coming back.
Yeah.
Like, so this is one of the things that seems to have some, it's not quite explicit in the Bible, but that idea of an afterlife. And I think we've talked before, it could just be that your body is releasing so much DMT that it's kind of like an epilogue to your life. It's kind of like, this is actually it, but we're bringing you gently into that good night.
The thing that, because I do wonder about that. Like, people that say that they have NDEs, it generally always seems to be with something more slow, like you're dying in a traditional sense. Like I wonder, does anything happen when it's like bang, something quick?
Some people have had the one where like a lot of people, there seems to be suicide attempts that trigger anything. Now I suppose you could make the argument that's pre-planned or whatever. There was someone I read about that there was a car accident, so it's like, you know, like when you're driving, it's like you're not going to realize something bad's about to happen until it happens, because you're always aware of what's going on.
Like I would say a car crash is probably quick enough to where you won't experience an NDE.
So I think one of the people had said like all of a sudden the lights are coming, blah blah, and then it's like, whoa, where am I? What's going on? And then you wake up in the hospital.
I suppose. So you'd wonder. Like I personally am more of the mind, and I'm trying to say this with a straight face, that it is and could very well be some kind of alien experience. I think that we could be.
We were able to.
I think our soul
on this
is
podcast
alien.
we're allowed to say things like metaphysical beliefs. Our souls are being harvested by aliens for them.
I think we're some aliens.
That is the thing we could be, and that's what some people believe, that we are surrogates for extraterrestrial souls, and one of the reasons they're obsessed with us is because we have souls, and they're like, what even is this? That's one theory. And then another theory is they need our souls, so they harvest us in the same way that I'm trying to think. Isn't there some body parts that they say we can get from pigs and put into humans?
Yeah,
and stuff like that?
Yeah, like going around pigs' hearts and also.
Yeah, so like you would harvest pigs. The pig is like, my heart will survive past my death. But realistically, we just give some lad a pig hair. It does like, a couple of 100,000 beats.
You get about a month out of a pig's heart, I think.
Really?
About that, yeah.
Just the idea of having a pig's heart is pretty. It feels gross.
I think I'm too anxious to have a pig's heart in me.
I think I'd just take death. I'd be like,
my health anxiety.
Every month I have to get a massive heart transplant. Nah, I'm good.
I'm like, why do I have a big mad swine heart?
I think you just think about. I wonder if we just start doing weird stuff around the house.
Oh yeah,
sniffing around the back garden for truffles,
rolling around in your own shite.
Yeah, just a bath of muck.
I think that'll wear me out too much. I'm more of the not scary sort of sinister Mr. Sinister way that you're putting out there. I think that potentially our souls and our inner monologue and all that jazz, that's all alien. Like we're alien. Like the only human part of us.
You think that part? So like, there's an interesting.
So that way, I think that when we die, we're off back to like Spaceland.
Yeah,
basically.
we could be. There's an interesting talk about Richard Dawkins. I think it's on Trigonometry this week. I don't listen to that podcast too often, but I thought it would be interesting because they're usually pretty good for talking. But he does a lot. See, they're always like leaning in a certain way. What about gender and all that? I was like, no, fucking talk about Jesus not being real and everything. But he does this really interesting stuff.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, tell me about gender.
Yeah. How many boxing weight classes should there be? What are we doing? Like, no, stop with this. But there is a really interesting thing where he starts to talk about, they ask him, are humans special? And he talks about how many animals would have a level of consciousness and all this sort of stuff. But he says if you think about humans, the stuff we do, technology, language, what we're doing right now, it's so different from the other creatures that like we seem to have come a lot further in evolution. And it's really interesting, like when he starts to talk about how a rhino or a hippopotamus or a rhino, I can't remember, they're more closely affiliated to a whale than a hippo or a rhino, two animals that you'd think would be closer connected. Starts talking about the animals that, and it's so interesting, and I'm bastardizing it a bit, but a turtle, for example, came out of the water, went back to the water, and came
whales
out of the water again.
I think it was whales.
And that's it. So like, it wasn't a case of who stayed in the water and who didn't, but like there was multiple comings and goings. And
did you see that there's an animal called vagina?
Sorry?
T vagina. That's the name of the animal. T vagina.
Is he like the next boss in Resident Evil?
Looks a bit like some Resident. It looks, and not joking, a T vagina man looks class. If you were alone on a boat in the ocean and T vagina, Google T vagina and T vagina, T vagina.
This feels like a prank.
If you're on a trawler, man, you've got
my last two searches are going to be where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, and then T vagina. Is T vagina not like trans vagina or something?
It's T vagina.
I'm turning on the secret mode anyway to search for T vagina.
I'm telling you, man, you've been out fucking fishing for sardines and tuna, and next thing a T vagina swims up alongside you. You're like, all right, steady now.
Starfish.
Like, I'm all about that life.
So T vagina, just right now, from what I can see, looks like a vagina.
Yeah, T vagina.
I think these are actual vaginas.
No. Show me.
This is just vaginas.
Okay, Jesus Christ. Thetis, Thetys, vagina. Jesus, I have to go fucking David Attenborough to get this up now on Google. Yeah. So Google, like, they'll be listening to you when you're trying to buy their fucking advertise. You talk about a TV and you get fucking 400 TV ads. Talk about T vagina, you can't get nothing up, huh?
No, there's just a picture of birds.
Thetis vagina.
Thetis. Not no S. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no S. Thetis. It's the Irish tongue, you know. Thetis is a hard word for us.
Whoa! Oh, these yolks.
Yeah,
I know what these. Yeah,
you know them. You're well acquainted, are you, with all your deep sea diving?
Oh yeah, I'm always finding these down in Rosslare Harbour and all. Yeah,
you actually have.
Can you?
Yeah.
Go away. So you're saying you wear these as a sex toy?
I mean, if you're on, you know,
I don't know, man.
I'd see for a long time.
I'd probably just have an old regular wank. I wouldn't be messing around with Thetis vaginas. I'm too afraid because it's like that's the start of any horror movie with, like, you know, weird sex body stuff. They always do. They're like, weird sex body stuff. Those bites they're doing. Thetis vagina.
T vagina, man.
It just looks like nature's fleshlight.
It does, and it's 14 inches long. So you're well able.
Yeah, so there's room to spare.
You know, swing a cat.
Look at this lad. He clearly
it's like trying
just
to sausage
used
up
it.
O'Connell Street, you know.
Yeah.
Not T-vagina, man.
You get a real tight T-vagina.
Yeah,
Just a good
they're all
7-inch
muscular
long
now.
T-vagina.
T-vagina.
T-vagina been doing their Kegels and all. T-vagina.
Pass.
The thought of putting my Paraka in this at the minute now is making
That's
me
why
feel
you're into
uneasy.
scuba diving and all. You're down looking
I'm
for
not
a
into scuba
T-vagina.
diving. I've done scuba diving. I didn't like it. Maybe I had an adverse experience with a T vagina.
How many humans would you say roll a T-vagina?
Oh, do you know what? It's more than 1,000. I'd say it's more than 1,000. If you're saying I can find these down in Rosslare, like, could cavemen have found these?
They're in the Atlantic Ocean, like they're in the Pacific and all. They're in every ocean, actually.
I'd say I would imagine there's 8 billion people currently alive. If we go through everyone who's ever been alive, you're getting 1,000 lads. I'd say T vagina was being passed around like them poor young ones on Epstein's Island. I'd say T vagina was like.
Probably also great though for old T-vagina. I want to write a short story about a caveman who finds one T-vagina and he spends the rest of his life trying to find another T-vagina.
I wonder, like, but if you have the T-vagina, you, like, as a caveman, you're like, don't touch me now.
You're Billy Big
Imagine,
Balls.
like, some lad coming up to rob your chicken or whatever. You're like, I'll fucking tear up the T-vagina. They're like, whoa, everybody calm down. Lads would be bringing you fucking food and berries and all.
Imagine taking a few berries
and T-vagina.
It's class, man. T-vagina.
T-vagina. I like T-vagina now.
Yeah, Bad Dragon get on and make a T-vagina.
Well, I mean, I think they sort of did. The fleshlight is kind of a T-vagina, but it's just...
T-vagina fleshlight toy.
Nature's fleshlight is just a T-vagina. Have you ever seen a frog wanking off with...
Frogs wank off.
Monkeys wank off with frogs. Yeah, which is simply stunning. Really. like the designs of nature, you do stuff like that makes you think there's no plan to it.
No, you're like, there's no God.
You wonder, like, nature's like, okay, and we'll make these, we do this. Go,
nah,
what the fuck are you doing?
There's no God when you see that stuff. You're like, that's it.
Yeah, or it proves that God has a sense of humor. Like,
yeah, that's
like,
true.
Let's make the monkeys piss in their own mouths and ride frogs.
Do you know now? I know you're a man of mad intellect and genius.
I would be, yeah.
But do you know vagina is Latin for a scabbard or a sheath?
That makes sense. Yeah.
Very sexist. Woke. We need to walkify.
We need a vagina because vagina is like a sheath. But that's where your sword goes in. And your sword. What?
Barbaric.
Do you think if women had been...
Is penis a sword then? Google that up there, son.
Is penis a sword?
Just Google.
Yeah, just is penis a sword?
That's not the case, man. That's how
penis sword. I think, yeah. What if women had been the sort of physically dominant species? So then all the weapons would have been things that pull you inside and explode you. So instead of using swords, then you'd have these systems, kind of like Hoovers with a load of fucking grinders on them and all.
You'd be like throwing like fucking leather straps around a motherfucker.
And he'd be like, oh no,
lassos, and that's your Wonder Woman.
The lasso of truth. Yeah, and that they say that your man who made Wonder Woman was mad into BDSM and all. The fella who made Wonder Woman, I could be wrong about this, he was either involved or he created the lie detector test.
Oh, lie detector. Oh, cool.
Something like that.
Latin for penis. What is Latin? What is it?
Sheathus.
Yeah. What is penis in Latin? Or what does it mean?
Quiver.
What does penis mean? The etymology.
The etymology of the word penis.
That's on YouTube is going to love
I'm gonna get like just a thing. You have used all your internet for today.
YouTube are like, here comes the boys now again.
Oh yeah, it's Monday, is it?
Another hour-long video of dodgy talk.
Latin for penis is tail. Tail. From the Latin tail, penis.
All right.
Why is me tail in the wrong place?
Yeah, weird.
Etymology of penis by etmonline. The male organ of copulation, from the French penis. Look at this fucking podcast. We're talking about near-death experience, and then we've gone on to nature's fleshlights, and now we're looking at the etymology of the word penis. Why are we the way we are? Like, why are we the way we are?
Vagina.
Penis envy is another one. No, yeah, I think it just means tail. So
okay, right.
The Latin penis earlier, tail, usually said to be originally penis, blah blah blah. Sanskrit, hasas.
So I suppose all the T vagina talk has made this segue a lot more sinister, but the title of this article is My Mom's Cousin Saw Something Deep in the Ocean in the early 80s that made him lose his mind.
I'd say
was it the T vagina? Let's tune in and find out. So I recently went on vacation with my parents to a resort. One night my dad went to bed early while my mom and I sat outside and talked. She's a very reserved woman who keeps many things to herself and likes small talk. You ever see them T vaginas? No, I haven't. Oh, let me Google it there, class. So,
I do like small talk, so let's continue this conversation.
So this caught me completely off guard. She was looking up at the sky and seemed like she was thinking hard about something. She suddenly asks me in Spanish, but I'll translate things, blah, blah. Do you remember cousin Jorge? You met him when you were little, but he died not long after. I did remember him a little. I remembered going to Cuba with my parents to visit family, and I met my cousin Jorge. I was about 8. He was very sweet and welcoming. About my dad's age. He asked me so many questions about life in the US and played games with me. After a while, he went back over to the adults, and suddenly he became hysterical, crying and hyperventilating, yelling things I couldn't understand.
That's right, new.
It scared me, so I hid. That was all I remembered of him. My mom proceeded to tell me that she remembers him, or what she remembered of him, rather. This took place in Havana, where they're from. My mom said, he was a completely normal person. We used to spend a lot of time together because he lived next door. He was about 10 years older than me, and he took me everywhere, running errands, hanging out with friends. He helped people with housework and with livestock. There were never anything odd about him. Everyone loved him. Then everyone loves Jorge. That's the Cuban version of everyone loves Raymond.
Jorge Rivera.
Then, when I was about 7 or 8, he was 17 or 18. He had to do a mandatory military service, as every male did in Cuba. At first, he wrote me letters, but after a few months, those stopped. He would only write to his mother, and I overheard her talking to my mom and grandma Hilda about how something about his letters didn't seem right. And then the letters stopped altogether. One day, I was at my aunt's, which is Jorge's ma, and there is a knock at the door. I answered it, and there were 2 men in military uniforms. My aunt and my grandma hurried towards the door and told me to go away. I hid behind the hallway wall and listened. I couldn't hear anything, but the men said that cousin Jorge was unwell and he was being sent back home. A couple of weeks later, sure enough, cousin Jorge gets sent back, escorted by another young soldier who was his friend. Grandma later told me that his friend had quietly let them know that cousin Jorge had apparently been in a submarine with Russians.
Lord.
What the fuck? Russians?
Russians, Cubans and the Russians.
Better watch out.
Communism.
Said no idea where. And that while he was down there, he saw something and immediately went haywire at the vagina. After that, cousin Jorge was very different. He'd be acting completely normally and randomly go into hysterics, screaming nonsense, crying and throwing things. He refused to talk about his military service. One day, when I was 16, someone in the neighbourhood gave me my first Bible. I was so excited. We didn't have much of anything, so being given a Bible as a gift was so exciting for me. I came home with it, and cousin Jorge was there. He saw it and stared at it in my hands for a moment. He then stood up and walked over to me. He grabbed the Bible from my hands and flipped to the first chapter. He then said, Genesis, the first great lie. Checkmate, atheists. The way he said it terrified me, and I grabbed the Bible back in case he tried to destroy it. He didn't follow me, but when I left, I could hear him having another meltdown. No, not T vagina.
Genesis, the first great lie.
Cousin Jorge never recovered. He ended up becoming extremely religious later in life, but still had frequent episodes and delusions. He passed in the early 2010s from a heart attack. My mother adored him, and I know that hurt her badly to see him suddenly change like that. I could see pain in her eyes as she told me all of this, staring off into the night sky as she spoke. The author goes on to say that they have a couple of theories to what happened, but how's about we put our theories in here, Eamon?
The first thing that's come to my mind is he's at that age as a kind of an older teenager, an early malehood, where if
right at the vagina.
Well, yeah, you would ride a T vagina. At any age, really, you probably ride a T vagina.
Yeah.
But it is that age where if you're going to start getting delusions and stuff like that, that's the likely time it'll happen. What would you see in a submarine? Now, to be fair, the Cubans were known to be doing a few little experiments and stuff like that as well, so maybe that didn't. And the Russians, they were all at it.
Putting a T vagina
Doesn't
into
have
a
to be
tube of
one or the
Pringles.
other, maybe. If you put a T vagina into a tube of Pringles,
Forget
never
it.
leave the house. Like,
Forget it.
what's the point? Like, why do anything anymore? Imagine high speed internet. T vagina.
Yeah.
It's over. Like,
Some-
society collapses.
I like to believe that somewhere in the world there's a lad who has an aquarium full of T vaginas.
Again, I would imagine there's everything you can think of that's possible. Some maniac is probably doing it.
I reckon Jorge went mad.
Yeah.
I reckon he was down in the submarine. The Russians held him down and rode him with a T vagina. And he was never the same.
I'd say he really liked the experience, but also found it deeply intimidating and wrong. So his psyche had to split.
I think that's what happened.
To kind of deal with the trauma of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird thing to be held down by men wanked off with a T vagina. You're like, no, stop. And, oh, actually. Wow. That's pretty good. That would, if you were, actually being held down by anyone, whether you're into that, where you're, that's your orientation or not, I think being held down against your will, no matter what, not great.
Not ideal.
But if you haven't tasted the fruits of the T vagina, maybe, I mean,
It's so cool that there's an animal called T vagina. It's class. Like.
I don't think it's called.
It is called T vagina. It's the fucking name. Tetanus
What's
vagina.
tetanus mean? Let's get the etymology.
What
does
you should
tetanus
know that
mean,
already, though. Never mind looking at your phone with your genius brain.
I forgot to read out my Latin.
Yeah. So you find out what tetanus means there, and what we'll do is just before we go, how was your AEW show, Eamon?
It was very good.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'll wait to hear this. This is fucking good.
Tell us the etymology.
Thetis was a sea goddess.
The
sea goddess vagina. Wow, the name is
something like Goddessy.
Goddessy.
Get into that.
Gadoosh.
Is that Goddessy in the song?
AEW was very good. Two of the wrestling matches, all the wrestling matches were great. Two of them specifically.
Oh my god,
were
amazing. Who was it?
Chef's kiss. Will Ospreay and MJF was
classic.
phenomenal.
Lads are class.
Phenomenal. And Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland. Whose house? Swerve's house. That was pretty cool. Prince Nana obviously danced him out, which was exciting. Lads rapped him out.
Rest in peace, Sid Vicious.
Is Sid Justice dead?
He died on the weekend, yeah.
That's a shame.
Rest in peace. Good lad. Apparently a really good family man.
Really?
Yeah. Doesn't look the type. Be very mean.
No, he looks kind of like the Sand. He looks like he'd be the kind of fella as the Sand.
But no, apparently real family guy.
He was Sid Vicious and then later was Sid Justice. Is that how we changed it? So, see, a lot of those 80s wrestlers I don't know too much about. I was like a 90s, early 2000s.
Well, I was 90s, but WCW 90s was Sid Vicious. Sid Vicious was over in WCW.
So like in the Monday Night Wars and stuff
like that. He was really popular then.
Yeah, wrestling's very interesting. Like, I was able to identify everyone that was going to the show, whether they were wearing... Like, I'm wearing a wrestling shirt now. But this was... My friend, he ordered some shirts for him and his daughter, and they sent an extra one, and it's Malachi Black. So now I like the House of Black, I suppose.
We're a genre of person, and yourself and myself, really. Like
cult of personality.
Yeah, we are. I went camping.
That's right, yeah.
Out squatching.
Right. Yeah. Well, since now that you're a Bigfoot
expert, I had to go out. I had to go into the field, you know.
All those people that said I'd never amount to anything.
No, I'm a Bigfoot expert.
Who's the big man?
Yeah, it was class, actually, really good. Hadn't camped in a long time. I'd been meaning to for a long time because I'm back hiking. Well, not back hiking, but I'm hiking more. And I wanted to have something to where I can go further afield, camp the night, and do all that shit.
So how did you find the temperature? Was it okay?
Fine, it's a bit cold, like, but not like.
Did you have your separate sleeping
bags? Yeah. Can't be doing all that.
You'd be holding hands for a little bit. Like, my hands getting too cold.
You'd be too cold. Mummy bags for the win, and it was nice. We actually seen, I think, some kind of like otter or something at one point because we were by a river and something like either that or a mink or a ferret or something kind of slinked along.
And did you start getting images of 69 and all?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the sinister
How
otters.
much room is there in the sleeping bag?
Seen red squirrel, red squirrels are cool.
Red squirrels, rare, especially like the only place I really see squirrels is Phoenix Park, but they're all grey squirrels up there.
Bastards.
Because of the English.
Inner city Dublin bastard squirrels.
Urban foxes are fairly cool. Just
They are
dirty
cool.
red foxes.
No, it was cool. It was nice. It was cool to get out. Like the one of our mates that we went with, he's very much more into glamping. And what I mean by glamping is just having like everything that you would need.
So he has like the little grill and the...
Yeah, like I bought one of them to have for camping too, but like, I mean, I'm talking like, it's like car camping. So like you're bringing more than what you would put in a backpack. Yes, is probably the best way to put it. So that you have everything. Now, great, because we were super comfortable. Like, we put tarp up in the trees to cover us.
Oh, lovely, yeah.
We had like, all had like little camping chairs and fucking, like, we brought firewood rather than cut firewood. Now, I'd very much be into the cutting firewood and going looking for it, because I'm of the mind of like, sure, I'm just going to be sitting around camping anyway, sure, may as well go out and get wood and all that and chop it.
Did you have any mobile phone signal? Or was
no,
it
none.
proper?
Zero.
Okay, that's good. That's a good
Zero.
way to do it.
I was really cool, because like, didn't give a fuck. Just
chilling out,
just chill out, didn't even think about it really. Yeah, just drinking, like getting pissed, but didn't really.
Oh, did you get all?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We stayed near the Glenmore Lodge.
Like fucking Blair Witch too.
Yeah, do you remember the Glenmore Lodge?
Yeah.
Stayed near there, not too far from there. So we nipped up there. We went for a walk up there, got a pint, came down, drank more.
Nice.
Stayed up. Yeah, it was good. It was good crack. It was nice to get out camping. So. Maybe in the future, if I do a bit more camping, I'll do a couple of vlogs out there for people. That might be something that's interesting. But yeah, you can spot. It's funny when you see our two tents side by side, you can spot the glamper versus like the hiking person, because like mine is like low profile. I
suppose as well,
super small.
You're starting. He probably started there and then like.
No, he's just wanting a glamp. Like I don't want to get. I don't want the big tent.
Like the
no, I don't want the big tent. I want low.
I get you.
Not even difficult. I just want low profile stuff.
How big was your tent?
3-man, but it's real small.
Right.
Cozy 3. It will probably around the same size as that fucking hellhole of York we stayed in Wales.
I think that was actually 2-man, but we were like, sure, it's 2 men, it'll be grand, and we were
that probably was
on each other in the middle.
That probably was our logic back then.
Oh yeah.
She says 2-man. Sure,
2 men. Like we were 2 men. That's 2-man. What's the problem?
No, it was 3-man, and when I say 3-man, like literally, there's no like awning part to it.
Yeah.
So it's very much like stick in a bit of an old mattress, and then you've got a little small bit. But it was cool, real nice, like nice. Cool experience. Really enjoyed it. So I might try and get another one in before the season's over. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Remember, guys, check out the Bigfoot documentary I mentioned earlier.
That'll be my treat later now.
Yeah, go and check out the book and all that as well, folks. I've been Rob.
I've been Eamon.
Monster Fuzz over and out. Bye.